同学们，你们好。Today we're going to talk about Lesson 8.3, Giving Directions. In this lesson, we're going to talk about indicate how many times or for how long, describe how often something happens, ask for, and give directions. To indicate the number of times an action occurs, use the number plus 次 after the verb. 这个星期我锻炼了2次. This week I exercised twice. If the verb has an object, the noun plus 次 comes before the object. 她做了1次志愿者. She volunteered once. Now it is your time. Which sentence is correct? The quantitative complement number plus 次 share the similar usage of number plus 遍, which indicates how many times an action is done, but its meaning is more general. 一遍 means once through, emphasizing the action is done from beginning to end, whereas 一次 simply means once. For example, 这本书我看了3遍. I have read this book 3 times. It indicates that the action of reading was completed in its entire each of the 3 times. 这本书我看了3次. It simply indicates that the book was read 3 times without necessarily emphasizing that each reading was from start to finish. To indicate the length of time of distance an action lasts, use the quantitative complement of time or distance after the verb. 我们今天要跑5公里. We're going to run 5 kilometers today. When the verb has an object, the quantitative complement comes before the object. 他昨天骑了2个小时自行车. He rode his bike for 2 hours yesterday. When a verb has an object, you can also use the structure subject, verb, object, verb, quantitative complement. 我们坐地铁坐了很多次. We took the subway many times. 林云昨天跑步跑了5公里. Yunlin ran 5 kilometers yesterday. Now it's your turn. Which sentence is correct? To say something happens every day, every week. Use 每 plus unit of time. For example, 每年 every year, 每天 every day, 每分钟 every minute, 每个小时 every hour, 每个月 every month, 每个星期 every week. As with 这 and 那, 每 must follow by a measure word. 年、分钟、天 serve as a measure word and should not preceded by 个. To describe how often something happens, 都 is often added before the verb for emphasis. 小白每个星期都去做志愿者. 小白 volunteers every week. A number can be used between 每 and the measure word. 每2个小时 every 2 hours. 每半年 every half year. 小白每2个星期都去做志愿者. 小白 volunteers every 2 weeks. To indicate how often something happens with a period of time, use a time phrase with 每 and a quantitative complement with 次. 我和朋友每个月聚会1次. My friend and I get together once a month. 我每个星期跑2次步. I run twice a week. To ask how often, you can say 多长时间 or 多久 verb 1次. 他多久做1次志愿者? 他多长时间做1次志愿者? How often does he volunteer? 他每个月做一次志愿者。He volunteers once a month. Now it's your turn. Which answer is correct? 你多长时间去一次中国？ To ask for directions, use question phrase 怎么走 preceded by the destination 去 place or phrase 从什么什么到怎么。请问邮局怎么走 ？Excuse me, how do I get to the post office? How do I get to the subway station? 从你家到学校怎么走？ Give directions. To tell someone which direction to go, use 往 plus direction before the verb. 往东走 go east. 往前开 drive straight ahead. 往南骑 ride south. 直走 and 往前走 can be used interchangeable to mean go straight. The verb 走 is used whether the person receiving the directions walking or driving. 往前开 and 往前骑 specifically meaning driving straight ahead and right straight ahead. In these cases, 直 can be used in the place of 往前. For example, 请问图书馆怎么走？直走，往前走 answer the person who is walking towards there. Or 往前开 answer to the person who is driving. 往前骑 answer to the person who is riding. To indicate the distance or length of time someone should travel, add a quantitative phrase after the verb. 往东走500米 walk east for 500 meters. 往前开5分钟 drive straight ahead for 5 minutes. 往南骑2个路口 ride south for 2 intersections. To tell someone to turn in a particular directions, use 往 plus direction plus 拐。直走，然后往右拐 go straight, then turn right. 先往南开2个路口，再往西拐，开200米。Ride south for 2 intersections, then turn west and drive 200 meters. Now it's your turn. You are in Verbanowski Park on the Texas campus A. And a Chinese student riding a bike approaches to you to ask for directions to a library. B. Above. How would you give him directions in Chinese? Use the verb 坐 when giving directions for public transportation. Add quantitative phrases after 坐 to indicate how long or how far to ride. 先坐一路公交车，坐10站，然后换红线地铁，坐5站。Take a bus route 1 and ride for 10 stops, and then change to the subway, and then take the red line for 5 stops. Pay attention to this sentence phrase, because it is your exercise later. 路 is used for bus routes, while 线 is used for subway or train lines. For example, 2路公交车 bus route 2, 绿线地铁 green line for the subway. 地铁2号线 subway line 2, metro line 2. When referring a bus route subway, the train line number 2 is pronounced R rather than 两. Now it's your turn. Complete the dialogue. 大高去电影院怎么走? Great job! Today we learned how to indicate how many times or how long, describe how often something happens, and ask for and give directions.